Guys, it's Chase, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at a PlayStation 5 that came in with a mangled HDMI port. The customer brought it into the shop, said he needed the HDMI port changed on it, so let's just see how bad this HDMI is. Let's go to the microscope and have a look. Just as I suspected. Alright, so this HDMI port is completely gone. So the first thing to do is to remove this little spongy material underneath the port, because if you don't, you'll melt it and ask me how I know. Yes, it's not a good smell. Alright, so first things first, put some flux around the HDMI port. This is an Amtech 559 flux, and we are going to use the hot air station, and we're going to set it to 480 degrees Celsius with an air speed of 100. Alright, kick that fume extractor on. So we're going to get this hot air right underneath the port. It usually takes a few seconds here, usually roughly between 40 to 60 seconds of kind of going back and forth underneath this port. Now I'm not touching the board, even though it may look like it. I'm probably about a centimeter away from the board. We're just going to kind of go back and forth a little bit. We're going to watch and see the solder flow around the port here. Should be any second here. Sometimes you can touch the port, just touch it lightly, because you don't want to damage any of those pads, right? Alright, port is good and flowing, you can see that. Alright, let's lift it off the board. There we go. And we can see we pulled no pads. Now we're going to use this solder sucker. We're going to suck up all of the excess solder here. Try to be careful around these SMD components. Alright, so let's go ahead and apply some flux here to these pads. Grab our soldering iron. I'm going to grab my new favorite soldering iron tip. It is a chisel tip. Apply some leaded solder to it, and we're just going to kind of flow these joints here and mix the lead free with the leaded solder, and we're going to clean it off with some solder wick here. Just like that. Now, we're going to use some alcohol in a syringe bottle and a Q-tip, and we're going to go ahead and clean up this old flux here and only any old solder that we may have left on the board. So let's go ahead and apply some flux to these pads here. Alright, put our new port in. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on this side of the port here. And the reason is because we have a tiny little SMD capacitor over on this side. And we can't use this particular iron tip for when we're on that side, otherwise we're going to lift that capacitor. Alright, push down on the port. Alright, I'm going to touch up this port here. I love this chisel tip because it just really gets up on all the joints and you can flow them all at the same time. You can make the joints look really pretty and really nice, and you can get a lot of solder on them without it being too much solder. So I'm going to grab some flux, and my conical angled tipped iron, and a little bit of solder on there. I'm going to come up, we're going to sneak right up here and do these pins right here. We're just going to come up right here. Alright, beautiful. Alright, all of our connections are solid. So let's go ahead and clean up real quick. Alright, so the way I prefer to do this is there's a lot of old flux here from the board that I like to try to clear up first on both sides of the port. Alright, now I'm going to add flux to both sides here. I'm going to grab my knife blade tip. My knife blade tip for doing these ground anchors is like, it's like the best. It's like the a la carte, you know? It's amazing. Alright, let's turn this fume extractor on again. Alright. Let's go ahead and seal the deal with this port here. Yeah? Alright. We're going to flow some solder there. Go back and forth. Go from the other side. Oh, my bad. Even though that's not a big deal. You want to like make them look better than factory, am I right? Yeah, am I right? Am I right? Yes. There we go. And the key to this is good flux. You want to use some good flux, otherwise these points aren't going to flow right, and then you're going to end up like bridging the solder like that, and you don't want to do that. You want to be able to throw it fast back like that. Boom, just like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and clear up the rest of this flux with some alcohol and a Q-tip, and this PlayStation 5 is good to go. Alright, the joints look super solid. Now let's get that PS5 back together and test it out. Alright, now that I have the PS5 back together, I'm going to go ahead and hook it up to the monitor here. The HDMI port in. Alright, powered on. Okay, it's turning on, that is good. Should show up on this screen here in a minute or a couple of seconds. Perfect, it's working. Alright, perfect. So the HDMI port is working on this PS5. Alright guys, the PS5 is all done. We can send it on its way to the customer. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.